Okay, so when did you first learn of the possible link between autism spectrum disorders and foods containing gluten-free or gluten and casein?
Yes, I found out when Paige was 2, so that would have been in 2006. We had early intervention, which is a Burlington County program for children with developmental delays. So early intervention, therapists came to the house and said, have you ever considered the gluten-free, casein-free? And before I put her on a diet, I went to a doctor, and then the doctor recommended, a developmental pediatrician recommended it in 2006 when she was first diagnosed on the autism spectrum.
Okay. And it kind of answers my other question. Who was it that told you about the possible benefits?
I would say therapists and developmental pediatrician, because I really didn't want to go up just therapists. I wanted a doctor to tell me that I mean, not that I respected the therapist a ton, but it's a big deal.
So how many other doctors do you think are for this or believe in this, or is there a small number?
I would say it's a small number. I don't know. I would really be guessing as a parent. It seems like a lot of people, even the people that recommended it, didn't say it would definitely work. They say, look, some people swear by it. We can't tell you it's for certain. But like, it's just one of those things where it can't hurt her as long as you're making sure she gets fruits and vegetables and you're not feeding, you know, malnutrition or something. I never had anybody say to me, oh, like a doctor, like a professional. I had parents tell me, oh, it works, you have to do it. But professionals all were very, not skeptical, but they really were cautious and said, look, try it, do it right, be healthy, you know, but we can't guarantee it's going to work.
So you're saying that you have talked to people. My next question is, did they experience any personal success with the diet? Or
some people swore by it, absolutely swore by it, and said that, and plus some of their children had more physical symptoms. They would have stomach problems and stuff. And of course, if you're feeling sick all the time, you might be, it might hinder your education or your development. So that kind of makes more sense. Paige did have some gastro issues. She never drank milk. That's another reason why they recommended it, because she threw up 8 to 12 times a day until she was 1. She kept no liquid down. She couldn't keep liquid down. She'd keep food. I breastfed her. She'd throw it up. I really don't know. And she was the biggest, fattest baby you've ever seen. She was fantastic. Just a great weight, off the charts. Just hit over my. They said, look, she's retaining something. But I changed the sheets 4 times a day. I mean, it was insane. So they said, oh, with the gastro issues, that's sort of a trigger. Usually they want to see something, not just a developmental delay. They want to see either a very severe developmental delay or like a gastro issue. Something that points to stomach problems, like, because it's a little bit of an extreme diet.
So is it common, because I was looking that up, is it common for kids with autism spectrum disorders to have issues
with celiac? I don't know. As a parent, I'm not a professional, I don't know, but it seems to me that it comes up an awful lot, because it wasn't just 1 or 2 people, right. It was quite a few people. So I don't know, but now there's a test for celiac disease, but mostly I think it's a blood panel. I have genetic testing now, and then they do endoscopy, but people don't really like to knock their kid out and stick a camera down their throat.
Yeah,
I just had that done. It's not something I would want to do to Paige. So you can understand how some people would say, I'd rather do the diet.
Right.
But I think it could be wives' tale. I don't know. I am the last one that'll knock.
No,
anything.
I know, because I've noticed this in my research. I've been seeing a lot of people saying that there's a common link between them, but it's not.
Right. I don't think it's as much as like this whole vaccine thing where people are like, that was just crap. I hate to say it. I don't find too many people say that, but I definitely find people that say, like me, it didn't work for Paige. I noticed nothing. So, but I don't poo-poo it to other people. Like when other people say they're going to try, I don't say, don't waste your time. I say it didn't work for me.
Right.
So, but there are people that swear by it. I mean, they swear by it.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. A lot of people. And then it's just one or the other. People
and then you wonder,
no
did the kid just blossom because it was an age and they were a late bloomer? Or was it the diet? You do something for 6 months, well, they're going to mature in 6 months.
Right.
Again, I'm not knocking the parent, but they're the general public. They could just be crazy.
There's a lot of things that you have to take into account.
Or you believe what you want to believe.
Right.
You want to do you do all that work. I wanted to believe it worked, but honestly, I was glad when it didn't work. I'm like, great, give her a piece of bread.
Yeah, that's a lot to keep up with, actually. That's another question. Do you know, like, the effects that gluten and casein have on kids with this, like, specifically?
You know, the way that's, I really did research this. I have books in there and everything. The way that was explained to me when Paige was 2 is that it affects their guts. It affects the way that they absorb nutrients. So, not only could they be malnourished, but the biggest thing I heard, and it's a term you should put in quotes, is leaky gut, or for them to focus and all of that. Again, I don't know how much to buy into this. I'm just a lowly baron here. I'm not a professional, but I did read a lot about it. And my understanding is it affects the way that they feel physically and the way that they, if you're malnourished because you're not absorbing nutrients, you're probably not going to develop, your brain's not going to develop either, right? If you're not growing properly.
True.
And I have noticed that a lot of kids in Paige's classes are smaller. But I also think it's because a lot of twins have developmental delays and they're smaller because they were born smaller.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't know. That's the thing. It's very complicated because so many kids with autism have other issues. They'll have other autoimmune problems, and so it's very complicated.
All right. How does gluten and casein affect? Is it just something that affects people that are, what's the word?
Oh, celiac.
Yeah.
No, and that's funny because now enter my experience, which can help you with this, is that I just had a celiac panel that said I was positive for celiac. That's the blood work. Then I had genetic testing. It said I had the genetic markers. So my chances went from 1 in hundreds to 1 in 10. So the doctor's like, told you, my gastro doctor said, I told you nailed it. You have all the symptoms. You have both those tests. Now I'm going to do the endoscopy. Because again, it's like I'm not going to knock you out and put a camera down your throat unless I know there's a good chance you have it. But you passed those 3 tests. My test came back negative. All the biopsies came back negative. But he told me, which I was like, oh, there's a wishy-washy gray area with celiac disease where you may not have the disease, but you have an intolerance. It's sort of like people that are like lactose intolerant. They might have flare-ups of it. They could drink milk, but one day they really can't, and they can't have too much of it. I might be one of those. That's why I'm doing the diet for 6 months. So the way this would affect with the kids, like, does Paige have that too? So maybe that's why things can come and go with her. I don't know, but it's my understanding that they're doing more research on people not having celiac disease, but being gluten intolerant, and they think there's a difference. Because my villi, my intestines, are not flattened. I'm absorbing nutrients, so I don't have all the damage. That's what celiac disease is. It's when your intestinal villi are damaged and flat. So you absorb no nutrients. You're basically malnourished. And I was like, I don't know. It's such crap. That's why I hate it.
All right. Okay. What things were you required to do in order to ensure that you were fully eliminating gluten and casein from your diet or your child's diet?
For Paige and for me now, I used separate utensils, separate servers, separate pots and pans, separate colanders, like everything, separate toaster, because bread is a huge one. And then, of course, food elimination. But you also have to watch things you'd never think about, like vitamins. And contamination is the biggest thing that's going to get me, because you don't think about it. You touch your hands to your face, that's contamination. Or you go to a restaurant who says, oh, we have a gluten-free food. I order gluten-free food, but the cook uses a spatula, he just flips somebody's grilled cheese with. Or the part of the grill that he says he cleaned, but it's his idea of clean, all trace amounts. And the other thing is like machines that process the food.
That actually takes me to another question. Is there restaurants that offer?
Yeah, it's amazing. This is huge. When Paige did this in 2006, now it's 2011, it is a million times easier. I can't believe what those years, it has all the big chains. Bertucci's, P.F. Chang's, where did we just go on the border? I've only been doing this for a month. But even places that don't, they have gluten-free menus. You can print them online before you go. And when you go and tell the waitress, they don't look at you like you have 8 heads. They say, okay, we'll use a separate part of the grill. And we use that. They really know what they're doing.
So they really take all that stuff into account.
But then I went to the White House, a little diner, hole in the wall. And I said to the woman, I'll just have some fruit. I have celiac. She's like, oh, one of our cooks has celiac. He'll use the part of the grill he uses for himself. The guy came out and talked to me and said, I don't dust the hash browns with flour. So you find